At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
You're listening to Tales of the Resistance, a podcast where stories of defiance, rebellion, and resilience shine through the darkness. I'm Amber Hunt. Let's dive in. Demonstrators last Sunday formed a human chain across a huge swath of the Chicago area to protest what they called President Trump's illegal and authoritarian actions. Organizers of the event, called Hands Across Chicagoland, said 15,000 signed up to take part. The goal was to form one continuous line of protesters stretching from Chicago to Aurora, covering about 30 miles. The ultimate turnout didn't quite reach that ambitious goal, but thousands were still in attendance, holding hands and chanting against the administration. Protesters Terry Lee Nordstedt and Bill Mengemeyer told ABC7 Chicago,
"It's going to take everyone all the time to make any difference.
We have to stand up and say, that is enough. Hands off Medicaid, hands off Medicare, hands off SNAP."
The protest wasn't in response to any singular action, but rather a whole array. As you heard, some were there protesting budget cuts, others in attendance were environmental activists, while still others were from veterans groups. Here are protesters Eunice Marriott and Rick Lunt.
When they start honking, then, you feel like you're not alone, right? A lot of us are in our homes thinking, just shaking our heads, scratching our heads, saying, what can we do? And doesn't anybody see what's happening? And here we have gotten the feeling that there are more of us.
Every act of courage matters. And we are out here in our own act of courage, no matter how small, to make sure that our voice matters.
Well, Rick, your voice matters to us. More protests happened in Asheville, North Carolina over the weekend as well. On social media, some pro-Trump accounts thought it was fun to share images of the protesters with the caption, "Notice anything?" That's because most people in the videos shared were older and white. See, it's a gotcha, because protests don't count if they're attended only by middle-aged white people. Actually, I'm not sure what the point was, considering Asheville is about 80% white, according to World Population Review. But whatever.
No KKK, no fascist USA!
Anyway, those people were there because they were protesting on behalf of those whose lives have been put at risk by this administration, including minorities, immigrants, and LGBTQ+ folk. Hundreds of attorneys have fled the Justice Department Civil Rights Division as the Trump administration shifts its focus away from civil rights and in favor of enforcing the president's executive orders. NPR reports that about 250 attorneys, representing around 70% of the division's lawyers, will have left by May's end. This division was created during the civil rights movement and the push to end racial segregation. As such, for nearly 7 decades, its focus has been on combating discrimination and protecting the constitutional rights of Americans. Turns out that's at odds with this administration, which likes to blame all of the country's ills on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So you can see the disconnect here. Stacey Young, a former division attorney who quit earlier this year after 18 years with the department, says she left because the division was being treated as though it's an arm of the White House, which, to be clear, it is not. She said,
"Our democracy and the rule of law depend on a robust, apolitical civil service, above all at the Department of Justice. But the new administration is directing an all-out assault on the career public servants who are the department's backbone. As we speak, DOJ's workforce is staring down unprecedented attacks on their employment, their integrity, their well-being, and even their safety."
While Young said this shortly after she left in late January, things have not improved, as evidenced by the ongoing mass exodus. It's worth noting, by the way, that this isn't the only division within the DOJ hemorrhaging staffers. The voting section has just 3 lawyers left, down from about 30 when Trump took office, according to democracydocket.com. This tidbit's not as hopeful as I'd like to be, but it's an important update on the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case. Quick note, I've been calling him Garcia on second reference, but Grab Bag Collab superfan and awesome person Ana Maria Correa kindly told me it should be Abrego Garcia, so that's what I'll do from now on. On Friday, May 16th, the judge in Kilmar Abrego Garcia's case dressed down the government's lawyers for doing nothing to bring Abrego Garcia back to America as ordered and deploying bad faith delay tactics. District Judge Paula Zinnes said, quote, "I'm like the cat with a ball of string and I'm trying to keep up with the ball of string," end quote. I'm not sure if that was her delivery, but it's mine. Abrego Garcia, if you'll remember, was detained without probable cause and shipped to a prison in El Salvador despite a previous court order forbidding the government to deport him there. Abrego Garcia has been living in Maryland with his wife and 3 children. The government admitted in court he was mistakenly deported to El Salvador because they say he's a gang member, though they've provided no proof of that beyond Trump claiming he has MS-13 tattooed on his fingers in this hilarious interview with ABC's Terry Moran.
He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice.
The letters and numbers were absolutely photoshopped intentionally to spell out that the government thought specific emblems on those knuckles corresponded with the letters MS and the numbers 13, but whatever. I'm getting dumber just explaining it. Anyway, the May 16th hearing was about as contentious as that interview, as Trump attorneys argued they should be allowed to withhold information regarding efforts to facilitate Abrego Garcia's return to protect quote-unquote state secrets. Zinnes said the government's refusal to answer questions directly has been, quote, an exercise in utter frustration, end quote. While again, this isn't exactly hopeful, we can take heart in 2 points. 1, the government assured the judge Abrego Garcia is alive and healthy, for what that's worth. And 2, the case hasn't been forgotten yet. Another set of numeric symbols has landed former FBI Director James Comey in Trump's crosshairs, though I should spell out that I don't mean that literally, since no one apparently knows what's real and what's fake anymore when it comes to assassination talk. Comey is under federal investigation for posting an image on Instagram showing seashells arranged to depict the numbers 8647, as in 8647. 86 is restaurant speak for take it off the menu, and 47 means the 47th president, a.k.a. Chuckles McOrangeface. So a normal person would interpret 8647 to mean end 47, like end his presidency. But in this twilight zone we're living in, Trump and his cronies have decided it was a straight-up order to put a hit out on the president. Not so, Comey told MSNBC last Monday. He explained that he found the seashells in that configuration while walking the beach with his wife, and after taking a few minutes for him to hit him that it wasn't somebody's house number left randomly in the sand, he snapped a picture and posted it to Instagram.
And thought nothing more of it until I heard through her that people were saying it was some sort of a call for assassination, which is crazy. But I took it down. Even if I think it's crazy, I don't want to be associated with violence of any kind.
To which Trump said, hogwash.
He knew exactly what that meant. A child knows what that meant. If you're the FBI director and you don't know what that meant assassination. And it says it loud and clear.
Comey endured all sorts of attacks from the right over the weekend, even from people who have used 86 in similar contexts but did not mean to assassinate anyone. Also, Comey had to field calls and in-person meetings with the Secret Service.
I admire the Secret Service. They're pros. I spoke to them on the phone. Then they asked the next day when I got home, would I be willing to come in and meet them in person at the Washington field office, which again, I did, and they were pros again.
So either this will die down or we'll be talking about it for 47 years. And no, that is not a coded message. This has been Tales of the Resistance, a production of Grab Bag Collab. The show's reported and edited by Amanda Rossman and me. Support Grab Bag Collab at patreon.com/GrabBagCollab.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu. With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Right now, get a free select tool when you buy the Craftsman V20 2-pack battery kit. Whether it's the backyard, the bathroom, or beyond, Craftsman has the tools to help you power through and get the project done right. Because DIYing is unpredictable, but your tools shouldn't be. Shop Craftsman at Lowe's today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.